Hey, what's happening, folks? We're going to do something a little different, and I don't have a guest scheduled for this, the third episode of the Logan Pettis Show. We call this the Logan Pettis Show because I'm Logan Pettis, and this is my show. Starting off, I do want to shout out to, you see my shirt? This is Sheeva Queen, Kira Maya, some of you know her as, Sarah Campbell. In the world of professional wrestling, she's always been one of my she's been one of my dearest friends. Anyway, she is going through a tough time right now. She is having some medical issues. There are complications of Fort Lejeune. She's had a 360 spinal fusion with a discectomy, replacement with spacers. I'm reading this, of course, from her Facebook page. Spacers cemented in place with a spinal cage and a cancerous tumor removed from her vertebrae. She had some issues with walking. She's had some malpractice things happen with the medical facility. It's been kind of crazy. This is not a wrestling-related injury. This is something caused by, I think, bad water. I don't know the big issue with the Camp Lejeune thing. Anyway, but I just wanted to dedicate an episode to Sheeva, and she has promised that she will be on this show when she is able. So anyway, shout-outs to Sheeva, Sarah, Kara, Maya, whatever you want to call her. We love you. When I was going through one of my darkest times a couple of years ago with the whole wrestling thing and whatever, I rub people the wrong way sometimes because I like to tell the truth a lot, and a lot of people don't appreciate the truth. And so a lot of people have gotten mad at me over the years, and that's fine. Or a lot of people get this silly idea about how I've trained, where I've trained, did I train? Yes, I trained. I've got, the only thing I have, I don't get a certificate, but I do get a fun screenshot from another more popular manager in Texas who came out and tried to make a bunch of crazy claims about me. And my trainer, a guy by the name of Hernandez, if anybody's watched TNA, he said, hey, no, look, this guy's been training with us for, a few years now, and I'd suggest you go elsewhere. So there's that. But I'm not really here today necessarily to talk about wrestling. I might talk about some wrestling-related things, but I just got back, y'all, from Walt Disney World Resorts. We went back in Christmas time, and I took everybody, and the girls loved it. So we went back for the Flower and Garden Festival at Epcot, which was absolutely stunning, the way they set up the flowers. And, Disney has their way of doing that magical thing that they do. And yeah, they made it look amazing. I bought some really cool stuff at the Chinese Pavilion in Epcot. As anybody knows, I am a real fashionista sometimes, not to step on the toes of the phenomenal Devin Carter. But I like to get dressed, and seeing me in a t-shirt is not something that happens very often. But anyway, so yeah, I just got back from that, and that's kind of what I wanted to kind of give a little bit of a review and talk some about that. So Epcot, absolutely amazing. I love Epcot. Not a whole lot they can really do to make Epcot better. I ate a lot of amazing food. I had some like sticky ribs and things, and you'll see. I think we shot some review stuff. If you go over to, there's the YouTube page, not my personal YouTube page, not the Logan Pettis page, but if you go to it's called An Unexpected Journey, and that is a sister page to the Logan Pettis page that you're on right now if you're watching this. And on there, you'll see me I do a drink review from from Disney Springs, I'm sorry. I do a drink review from Disney Springs from the Coke place. I drank some blue milk over at Galaxy's Edge, and we'll talk about Galaxy's Edge here in a minute. Yeah, so, where are we at? I don't have a script or a format for this show. We love Sarah, Sheeva. Sheeva, was awesome to me. That's what I was talking about. So during this weird kind of time that I went through a couple of years ago, she just came and she said, you're a great guy and a phenomenal talent, and it's a lot for somebody to stick their name. And she did. She came out and she said, she would vouch for me and that I could use her name as a reference. So promoters, I will put this out here. I don't ever talk about I do talk about myself a little bit. I mean, it's my show. But, I don't really say a lot of what I can do. I sing, I host this show, I act, I do a little bit of everything, and I'm, of course, the general manager for River City Wrestling. But I'm always trying to be a ring announcer. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, your new River City Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, Rob Love. How about Rob Love winning the RCW Heavyweight Championship? As you can see right behind me, of course, this is Mysterious Q's RCW title. You've heard me talk about that on the show. We took this guy down to Corpus, and Mysterious Q defended the RCW belt. So I will call this Mysterious Q's championship belt. You can buy this belt, actually both of these belts behind me. I will shill monsterbelts.com. Brandon Duquette does a great job of producing championship belts. He's got replicas of every RCW belt. He can make you just about any belt that you could ever hope to have. So there's a shout out to Monster Belts on this show. So now on to Disney. Yes, Epcot was a fantastic experience. I love to go to Epcot if you've never been. It's the experimental prototype. I think City of Tomorrow is what it stands for. And it's a very futuristic thing. And you go up in Spaceship Earth and it takes you all through the history of the Earth. And we rode Soarin' this time. Soarin's a really cool ride. So you get on this thing and these swings and you go up like, 20, 30 feet in the air. And it's like a hand glider and you fly over different things. They had polar bears, and they, flew you through the islands, and they're spraying plumeria and all these wonderful smells in your face. And Disney magic, you're there, man. We met Mulan. Again, we ate some sticky rib. We ate, I think, something in just about every country that we went through. The cream cheese, the crab rangoon, chef's kiss. Right there. I went to the Beauty and the Beast sing-along in the French Pavilion before the fire, no less. There was a fire while we were there. I guess a freezer caught on fire, and they had to close down the French Pavilion and evacuate it. But we did the Beauty and the Beast thing, and Angela Lansbury's voice comes on, and I almost shed a tear. I love Angela Lansbury. Hers is like one of the voices of my childhood. I love any excuse I can to be like, wait, watch your rush, watch your hurry. When you get it, if you get it, good you got it. It's lovely bobbing along on the bottom of the beautiful briny sea. I'll get warm, piping hot. Heaven's sakes, is that a spot? Clean it up. We want the company. Is it one love or two for you, our guest? And of course, I'll do one more Angela Lansbury because any excuse I get to do Angela Lansbury. True as it can be, barely even friends, then somebody bends unexpectedly. Of course, I grew up with Murder, She Wrote, so I love Angela Lansbury. I do, and so to hear her voice, it was something special. But, so that was Epcot. Epcot was great. And then we went somewhere that I've always wanted to go if we want to tie in wrestling. And I put this on my Facebook page. For those of you that are on my Facebook page, go search me out. It's Logan Pettis. I have my personal page, and then there is the Logan Pettis Manager of the Year page, where I kind of put together a lot of my singing and stuff. And I don't know, it's kind of hard to keep two pages together. So on my Facebook, I asked this question. I said, in the pictures, I posted pictures of everything. I said, can you tell me what the significance of the wrestling significance is to my pictures? And I'll answer that question right now. So you walk up to these Art Deco style, like this park, so much potential, and I'll get into it. You walk up to these beautiful Art Deco gates of Disney's Hollywood Studios. It looks like an old time, 40s movie studio, the heyday of Hollywood. And you walk in, and there's the gates. And the first thing I picture when I see those gates is the big letters, see you, up on top of the thing. And I remember Kevin Nash and Scott Hall covering those up because with NWO on the bed sheets. And I believe that was the first or second episode of Nitro. I think it was the first episode of Nitro after Hollywood Hogan ended up becoming the third man in the NWO. So, classic promos cut there, trash thrown in the ring, right out there in front of, it's now Disney's Hollywood Studios, it was Disney's MGM Studios at the time. Eric Bischoff moved production of WCW to Disney's MGM Studios. He wanted to get the WCW brand out of the southern kind of dingy, grungy, nasty, dark arenas and really just put television production on them. And Disney MGM Studios was the place to do that. They have these huge sound stages, and they're still there. These sound stages were there. It wanted to be a working studio. Actually, let me read you a little bit about the Hollywood Studios. So it was opened, it was based on a concept by Marty Sklar, Randy Bright, and Michael Eisner, and opened on May 1st, 1989 as the Disney MGM Studio theme park. It was the third of the 4 parks built at Walt Disney World, spanning 135 acres. It's huge. It says the park is themed to an idealized version of Hollywood, California, and is dedicated to the imagined worlds of film, television, music, and theater, drawing inspiration from the golden age of Hollywood. And so it wanted to be a theme park, and it also wanted to be an operating production studio with an active television and film services. And they entered into a licensing agreement with MGM, which ran through the 2000s, and many of the park's sound stages were retrofitted for newer attractions and stuff, and the park's current name took effect in 2008 when they got rid of all the MGM branding throughout the park. I guess that partnership dissolved. And then somewhere in 2010, for some reason, the park started to distance itself from this original studio backlot idea and entered into, it says, a new immersive theming and attraction development inspired by and imagined by worlds from Hollywood storytellers, which is okay on paper. When you get there, you see that this thing is executed very strangely, very oddly. Well, I'll get there. I was talking about the wrestling connection. When you go into Toy Story World, Toy Story Mania, that soundstage is the soundstage where they used to shoot UCW Saturday Night and a couple of other shows. So anyway, that's really cool. I used to watch Saturday Night with my grandma. So, all right, back. I've got ADD, folks. If you can't follow me, I mean, I'm sorry. But, so, okay, this is my problem with this park. While I had a insane amount of fun in this park, on this property, because of Galaxy's Edge and Star Wars Land. I am a huge Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars from when I was a kid. I got to meet Darth Vader, and it was the craziest thing because I'm there and he's looking me in the face, and it's not like I've been to conventions and like there's cosplay Darth Vader. No, since this is where it is, and they own it. It is canon. This is Darth flipping Vader. And he says, "Will you join me in the dark side?" And the whole thing, and it's James Earl Jones's voice. And so I'm looking at him dead in the eye, because I'm the manager of the year and I'm not afraid of anybody. I've stood toe-to-toe with some of these wrestlers, people like J.P. Harlow and so on and so forth. I choked Tom Latimer. But I looked Vader dead in the eye, and the little kid in me was trembling because it's like, this is dark. That was cool. I wish they would do more. They've stuck Vader and BB-8. There's meet and greets, and Chewbacca. There are 3 meet and greets inside what used to be the Disney Animation Studio. And it's okay. You can tell they just shoddily rushed something together and made just kind of this weird area underneath the big Hollywood Studios archway. And they just sort of shoehorned something in there. The whole park feels like when the MGM thing went away, like Disney went all in on this MGM and this theming and this whole thing about, old Hollywood. And then when that kind of dissolved or whatever happened there, I'm not sure. We don't research on this show very much. But whatever happened there, when they decided to go a different direction, I feel like this thing really just kind of went off the rails and it lost its identity, and they don't really know what to do with it. So, okay, yeah, you walk in through these Art Deco, these beautiful, Art Deco, they're light blue gates, and Disney's Hollywood Studios. You walk in, and there's the crossroads of America right there in front of you, and you can look down the street, and you see these marvelous, 30s, 40s Art Deco buildings all leading to the Hollywood Tower Hotel, which if you've ever seen The Twilight Zone, it's the Tower of Terror. It's a really fun thrill ride. It takes you up in an elevator, shows you some ghosts, and then it drops you. But that's their theming. It's the city. It's the city of Los Angeles in the 40s in this very stylized thing with these facades. And it's like, yeah, I dig the vibe of this park, right? Now, I went in full Jedi robes, so I stick out like a sore thumb. Actually, midway through, I was walking and I was thinking, I'm going against Walt Disney's very like intention for when he built like the Magic Kingdom, and underneath it are all the service tunnels and stuff. Because one time he was looking and he saw a cowboy walking through Tomorrowland, and he was like, well, that kills the illusion. Walt Disney trying to keep kayfabe alive. And as I'm thinking this, I was wearing this name badge. I had this made on Etsy. And anyway, this is a replica of the Galaxy's Edge name tag. And anyway, a cast member from the park walks up and he goes, "Are you Logan?" "Yes, I am." "Are you a cast member?" "I've been in a few casts." He goes, "Are you a Disney cast member?" I said, "Unless you count that Beauty and the Beast show one time." I said, no, I'm not a Disney cast member." "Well, you can't wear that name badge in the park." So I guess my name badge, and I saw the Galaxy's Edge people. It was very, very close. There's slight differences. But anyway, so there I am. You walk in. And so you'll already see where I'm going here. So you walk in, and this thing splits off and goes that way. And yeah, it's full of all of these wonderful Art Deco buildings, and they look like shops and eateries and things like that. The Anaheim deal and they've got the old stop signs with the stop and go. And I don't know if MGM Studios originally had the trolley or not, but yeah, these stop signs are there. It does have a trolley red car thing. But yeah, and I know at one point, I believe there was a tie-in to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is this wonderful, it's probably my second favorite, no, I don't know. They run neck and neck. I was going to say my second favorite Disney period piece next to The Rocketeer, but The Rocketeer is also a phenomenal thing, and I wish they'd re-release The Rocketeer and give it a new modern Disney trailer treatment and see if we can get people to go see this. But I think The Rocketeer was ahead of its time. We weren't really into superhero films at the time when it came out, and we're talking like 1990, 91, something like that. Anyway, so, and I lied on the description, by the way. Coming into the park, you don't see Hollywood Tower yet, I don't believe. You see the Grauman's Chinese Theater. So, and that's the home. It used to be the movie ride, the Great Movie Ride, where it took you through all these wonderful MGM films, Wizard of Oz, and a couple of Cagney movies, and John Wayne, and you got to see them. And now it's actually this really cool, really creative, cute Mickey and Minnie picnic ride where Goofy does something, and anyway, hijinks ensue when Goofy messes up the train ride and blows a hole through the screen in the cartoon, and you've got to go into the cartoon, and he's like, "Come on, folks." And Mickey's like, "Oh, Goofy, what have you done?" And, "Oh, boy." And so you get on the train, and Goofy throws the switch, and the train just derails all over the place, and you go through all this really cool stuff, and all these great visuals. You're inside, and it's done in this real kind of a Disney animation style and vibe, and that's really cool. It fits, the theming of the park. And then outside the Chinese theater is all the hand cast, just like in California and Hollywood, if you've ever been. I've been. But yeah, out in front are, and they're all Disney people. You got Estelle Getty and, the Golden Girls, Rue McClanahan, Betty White are there. Next to them was Wayne Szalinski, Rick Moranis, Michael J. Fox, Michael Jackson, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan put his hands in the thing. I think it said 90, 91 or so. I was thinking it was probably during when they had the ticker tape parade for him. Right down that same street, another piece of wrestling significance, right down that same street, they had the ticker tape parade when Hulk Hogan signed on for WCW. When he came out of retirement and did Thunder in Paradise, he was filming on Disney MGM property, and Eric Bischoff said, "Hey, you want to come be on my show?" And he said, "Works for me, brother." And so, yeah, he showed up there. But yeah, a lot of Disney names. It's really cool. And okay, so we continue with the theming. Off to this side is the Indiana Jones stunt spectacular over there, kind of near the commissary. And then there's a theater over here, and it's showing Frozen sing along for some reason. Doesn't really fit the theming, but it's a good show. That used to be the Celebrity Theater. No, Beauty and the Beast is where the Celebrity Theater is. We didn't get to see the Beauty and the Beast show. But there used to be a Celebrity Theater. They used to do this really cool thing where, like, you go to the park and, like, one time a week or something, you could go meet a celebrity, and they don't do that anymore, but they'd go over to the Celebrity Theater. But yeah, there's a theater over there that shows Frozen. I think they used to have the American Idol experience in the Frozen theater. A little bug of some kind flying in front of my face. Yeah, so the Frozen thing, we'll start there. Great show. I don't know what it has to do with being in a Hollywood production studio or in old Hollywood, other than it's a theater and you get to see a show. There were several adult jokes in there. One of them went a little over the top for me, and that's saying something, but it's only because there's kids there. And people that know me from like the wrestling know that it's like, if we're putting on family-friendly shows, I like to keep it family-friendly. There's a referee at RCW that likes to scream obscenities, and it's just like anytime I cut a promo, I know I called Callie and Tita a name one of the last times I spoke, and that caused heat for no reason, but not between me and Callie, but that's another deal. But yeah, it's family show, and I like to keep it family friendly, and I'm not big on going out and like, let's cuss every other word. If I say something, it's going to be impact. There's going to be a reason. So anyway, they didn't say anything that bad as far as just outright just cursing and turning the air blue, but she did make a sexual comment that I did not approve of, but whatever. Kids wouldn't get it. It went right over their heads, so whatever. But yeah, so the Frozen thing, and then you go down by the ABC commissary and stuff, and then there's Star Tours, which is the original Star Wars attraction in the park, which, again, that makes sense. Here is, something from the movies. And then over here is Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, where they teach you how they film stunts and how movies are kind of made. And then, okay, you go into the Muppet Courtyard, and the Muppets, okay, that kind of makes sense for this park. The Muppets are there teaching you kind of how 3D movies are made, and that's going to be going away here soon. Muppets 3D Adventure, but just for them. 3D! Look at that. And Swedish Chef is in the back. So, and Sattler and Waldorf, great time. Okay, that makes sense. And then there's this tunnel. And right off to the tunnel is Max and Goofy? Goofy makes sense. Goofy is a 1940s Disney character. Donald and Daisy are right over there off to the side as well doing meet and greets. Max doesn't make sense. Max is out of place. Max is Goof Troop. Max is very nice, especially when you consider all of the characters that Disney has. If you're going to put them in this 1950s section of this park, even if, they're obviously going to keep what they're doing. Why is Max there? Why is it not somebody like, Bert and Mary Poppins or, Pete? Why don't we have Pete, for cat's sake? Pete is the original Disney villain. I don't know. I appreciated Max and Goofy. Got my picture taken with him. That's all well and good. Then we go into Galaxy's Edge. And it's like a hard, you've been slapped in the face. Now all of a sudden you're in Star Wars land. And while Star Wars Land is cool, and I like going to Batuu, which is close enough to looking like Tatooine that you can kind of like close your eyes and go, I'm not big on, Disney's version of Star Wars, but hey, what are you going to do? So, yeah, you go in there, and I had a lot of fun. The Millennium Falcon is in there, and we went to Oga's Cantina, and I met Chewbacca, and then Kylo Ren walked up to me, and he said, You are the whisperer of the dark side. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but sure, take my picture. And so anyway, I had a great moment with Kylo Ren. But yeah, so you go back there, and then you find out that this all used to be this awesome backlot studio tour thing. If you've ever been to Universal Studios in California, I've never been to the one in Florida, but in California, you take that Universal backlot studio tour, and you go to everywhere that you've ever seen on TV or in a movie ever. And it's really cool. And so they have that there at Disney, or they used to, and they tore it all out and they made Star Wars Land. And so you can stand right in between, I think it's like Hangar 17 and the Chicken Place. And like, that's where they used to film like the Golden Girls house from the outside. And that's gone. And it's like, why is that gone in a Hollywood Studios park? I get that Batuu is supposed to be representative of, again, these movies. And then if you're going to be like these movies, if you're going to be all about Star Wars, where's Luke and Leia and Han and, the original movie representation? If you're going to build this world, make it Star Wars land. I mean, I understand Disney's trying to go with the properties that they made. It's very Vince McMahon and like, yeah, sure, pal, we got Sting in WCW, but he's Sting now. He's going to lose a lot. And by a lot, I mean everything. I mean, I'd use that as an example, but pick somebody. He did it with everyone. And so I feel kind of like Disney's doing that a little bit. It's like, no, this is our Star Wars that we're putting out here, pal. Nothing you can do about it. I still had fun. Don't get me wrong. I still had fun watching WWE. Don't get me wrong. It's just, why? Why is there no representation of what brought you to the dance and what people my age will care about? Because every time they said First Order and Resistance, I had to, like, retrain my brain to be like Rebel Alliance and Empire. So, but that's just a thing. Then you come out of that and you walk into, well, all right, let's back up. I still think if you're going to have Hollywood Studios, if you're going to try and be this idea, keep the theming, keep the backlot, update the backlot if you have to. Star Wars needs to be built on its own frickin' world somewhere, okay? That's just my opinion. I don't know what Disney's doing. I've got several friends that are Disney experts. Rachel Cox is one. Stephanie France is another one. I've got friends that, like, this is their thing. So I don't know. I might bring them on and have a discussion about this. So anyway, moving on, you go into Toy Story World. Why does Toy Story have its own world? I don't understand the things that Disney does. Disney right now is disassembling the Rivers of America and the Magic Kingdom for Cars World. Well, if you're going to build Cars World, why wouldn't you put Cars World over here at your Hollywood studio in like your animation section or something? Because it all kind of flows in with the old, Route 66 thing. I don't put it over here and destroy this thing. Just like Splash Mountain. Why do we have to retheme Splash Mountain? Well, it in itself is a mystery and a riddle wrapped in an enigma. We're not allowed to talk about the movie that Splash Mountain was based on, yet we've had a theme park ride based on this unspoken film 40 years or so. I can't begin to figure it out. And then you can scream about blaming Eisner, blaming Iger, or anybody in between. This is what I think. This is what I think about Disney. I think Disney needs a CEO for its parks, a CEO for its film division, maybe even a CEO just for the animation division. I don't know if we should, but I think that you get a guy that knows all about theme parks, get a guy that knows all about making movies, and then it's like, okay, how can we, gel here? That's just my opinion. All right, so Toy Story Land is cool, but there's not a lot to do there. Again, we went into Toy Story Mania. Toy Story Mania is in the soundstage where they used to shoot the WCW shows. I talked about that, and that was really cool. I liked the concept of they shrink you down as you walk in. They make you a toy. If you look down on the floor, you see Andy's big footprints down there. And anyway, so yeah, you're down there the size of a toy. And here I was in full Jedi regalia. And it's like, not only am I a toy, I'm a Star Wars toy by Kenner. And anyway, that was really cool. I love Star Wars toys, so why not? In fact, I have a scar on my leg from the blast shield of my X-Wing Starfighter. How many kids get to say that, huh? And anyway, and then you're back into Art Deco land again, and they've got all these wonderful facades of these buildings, but none of them do anything. There's not a lot to do in this park, I feel. Yeah, there's a few rides, but, there's a lot to look at. It is kind of, if you're not into Star Wars, it's kind of meh. Star Wars is kind of a dude thing. And I had women with me, and they appreciated Star Wars, but to them they liked the stuff up front, but there wasn't anything really to do other than look at stuff and take pictures. There's not a lot of rides. I'm not going to say don't go to Hollywood Studios, but, my thoughts, I think Epcot's a lot more fun. And again, there's not a whole lot to do really at Epcot when you break it down. It all depends on what you're into, really. And that's a lot of Disney. If you're not into rides, I don't know. You just look at stuff. So again, it all depends on what you're into, but no, it's an immersive experience, especially going back to Galaxy's Edge. Stormtroopers are constantly talking to you. I had so much fun, again, and I'm in full regalia, and every character, every cast member stopped and they had some sort of interaction with me. I think if you get into it and you have, creativity, which I'm, a child at heart, there's something for you to do. I don't know. It's wish, like anything, that they would have stuck with the old Hollywood theme now, having been there. I've always wanted to go, and now that I've seen it, it's like, you should have kept this running all the way through. Even if, I don't even know how many shows, does this thing tell me? Okay, let's see. I'm looking to see, there's the lion logo in the marketing, Echo Lake. Oh, Grand Avenue. So you go down Grand Avenue, and it used to be called, like, the New York section. It was very much inspired by New York. And that's where, if you ever watch WCW Monday Nitro, they sent the fire down the street, and then it gets to the end, it blows up the big Nitro logo. And it was closed in 2016 so they could build Galaxy's Edge, which is okay. Animation Courtyard not being used for nothing. It's really sad. They have a movie about Walt Disney that's filmed right there. They're going to tear out the Muppet deal and replace that with something about Monsters, Inc. Star Wars weekends, I guess they still do. I was trying to see if there were any. Mulan, Lilo and Stitch, and Brother Bear were all produced at Hollywood Studios. They used to do Radio Disney there at the park. Of course, there's the WCW tapings right here it's talking about. Several music videos. Let's Make a Deal, Thunder in Paradise, MTV's Remote Control, Superboy, the first season from 88 to 89, Passenger 57, Julian Powell's Show, all filmed at Disney MGM Studios. So I guess it didn't really have a huge life as a working studio, and that's why they got like wrestling and stuff to come in. Not saying that wrestling's scraping the bottom of the barrel, but it's not the big television productions that they were necessarily looking for. But yeah, while I appreciate Disney's Hollywood Studios, I wish it had an identity. It doesn't have an identity. It has an identity crisis, is what it has. It's like, we're old Hollywood, but we're modern day this, and we love our animation, but we really don't want to talk about it much. And here's Star Wars! Money! And people will spend gobs of money, and they did spend gobs of money back there in Star Wars world. So, I don't know. That's really all I've got for this episode of the show. Scroll down here really quick. I want to talk about, let's talk about RCW Mania really quick. Coming up Sunday, April the 27th, RCW Mania is going to feature the World Heavyweight Championship being contested. Rob Love, your current champion, versus Epi, who actually won the Royal Rumble. And they've thrown in Chris Marvel, who my counterpart decided won the Royal Rumble. But seeing as my counterpart isn't the men's GM, I don't understand why she gets a say. And then Brandon Oliver decides to come out and finally act like an owner, even though he gave us the executive power. It's a hard thing. Back, facing off against Tirale Tempo for the Reality of Wrestling. That's Booker T School down there in Houston. It's attached to the WEID program. They will be squaring off for the ROW Championship. There is finally going to be a decided winner between who the actual RCW Women's Champion is. Not that there's never going to be an asterisk by the name of whomever. We have, thanks to the Thieving Callie and Tita, but yes, Thieving Callie is going to take on Alejandra Quintanilla at RCW Mania, which will be featured on Title Match Network, and there are more matches to come. We are finalizing booking as we speak for a lot of people. It's going to be an exciting time, and that will be at the Good Shepherd Lutheran Activity Center in San Antonio, Texas, if you can make it out. If not, you can watch it on Title Match for $9.99. I want to shout out the GoFundMe page for my good friend Sarah Campbell. And it is going to be GoFundMe. It's HTTPS GoFundMe. It's 7C17. We're hashtag Sheeva Strong. Or if you want to donate directly to Sheeva, you can Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App. They all go to official Sheeva. And then I think they said they're going to try and have some merch made. I don't know if this shirt will be part of it, but this is the beautiful Brutality shirt, Sheeva Queen. Me, what am I doing? Still River City Wrestling. The morning of RCW Mania, Megan and I will be singing at, I'm being shoulder shrugged. We will be singing in Rockney. There we go. At, I think it's the Rockney First Baptist Church or something like that. We will be singing that morning and then hoofing it over to RCW in San Antonio. It's going to be a busy day. You can buy my t-shirt, my merch at prowrestlingtees.com/Logan Pettis. You can also get Uncle Wiggley's Wieners gear there. Uncle Wiggley's Wieners is my business. Check out my page, on this YouTube page, or my YouTube page if you're listening on Spotify. You can check out all of my voiceover stuff. You can check out me singing. You can hear me do all kinds of stuff. I've been doing Mickey Mouse and Goofy all week, like, gosh, Mick, I hope you're having a magical day here at Disney, huh? My name's Mickey Mouse. And anyway, so I've been having a lot of fun doing that for the last few days. I do silly voices. It's part of my thing. One of these days, I guess I'll get on this podcast and just talk a lot more about me. But right now we're coming up on that hour mark, and I don't want to keep you guys any longer. I just wanted to talk about my Disney trip a little bit and just put out something. I do it for the content, as Brian Zane over at Wrestling with Regret would say. Yeah, so Disney MGM Studios and Epcot, check them out. Check out the Disney parks. If you've never gone, I promise you're going to have a magical time. Even if you're not into Disney, you're going to have a splendiferous time. That's my criticism for Hollywood Studios, is I wish Hollywood Studios would be Hollywood Studios and find itself an identity and stick with it, because it's kind of like 5 parks at the same time and none of them have anything to do to speak of. To basically maintain interest. I guess if you're little, Toy Story is kind of cool, but I don't understand what Disney does. I really don't. With their properties and things that they utilize, because it's like, if you're going to do this and you're going to theme it, Fantasmic, the show at the end of Hollywood Studios, you see all these characters as they come by on the boat. I told Megan I would love to see like the epic Mickey like meet and greet. Get all the different variations of Mickey in different rooms somewhere. And it's like you get to meet Mickey everywhere. Steamboat Willie and Shirtless Mickey and Sorcerer Mickey and Mickey in the Tuxedo. You see what I'm saying? And then you see that they've got character Pinocchio and Geppetto. You never get to see Pete. You never get to see Tiana's on the boat ride, And then some of these people where they stick them, it doesn't make any sense. I would love to sit down and analyze the parks and be like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And I think if we had more character meet and greets, you'd alleviate some of the other character meet and greets, then you don't just have people just standing around all the time. There's constantly something to do. It's very ADD, but anyway, so yeah, Sheeva's deal I shouted out. I'll try and post a link if I can. My stuff is on Pro Wrestling Tees. I'll bring on somebody here hopefully soon. I know my friend Gianna Rodriguez. She is a very, do I want to say prolific? She's a phenomenal singer out of the San Antonio area. She has promised me that she will be on. Sheeva wants to come on in the future at some point. I will definitely have Raina Pink back on, and Pink and I will probably talk about maybe this Texas 8, whatever this tournament is that's coming up pretty soon to determine, I guess, who the greatest independent wrestler is in Texas, which if that's even a thing you can do, but without doing all of it. For the Logan Pettis Show, I am indeed Logan Pettis, and that is my time. I hope you all enjoyed. Keep listening. We'll spit out another episode soon. Till next time, we'll see you later. Oh, check out the Unexpected Journey channel, and you can watch me drink crazy things and walk dogs and, just go through my crazy travel life. I love to travel. It's something that I do a lot of. So anyway, if you haven't gotten enough of me over here. So until next time, we will see y'all when we see y'all.